Well, Windows usually is pretty easy to work with, and Python I'm not familiar with the networking stuff in Python when you send out. So I'm guessing by send out you mean when you make a remote connection. All right, so the connection. You're saying that this is working here. But this one down here isn't. So the question I would say is, have you tried to connect to another public instance? Is there something in between here? Is there like a router or something in between these connections? So maybe your router isn't allowing the TCP client to get to your local TCP server or something like that? Because that's what I would think, is if because what I would do is I would just boot up another EC2 instance to double check that you're not completely insane and make sure that your TCP client can connect over there. The other thing I do is, like, on the actual, I'd remote into your EC2 instance and boot up Chrome or something and go to Google and see if you can access the internet. Other than that, you can install Telnet on Windows Server. It should be in the Windows, the control dashboard under like Add Windows Features, and then you can use Telnet on the command line to connect to your server pretty nicely, and that should give you a sanity check just to make sure it's not your Python program with some weird bug that you got in there. Alright, so we're going to get random game modes. Always in. I think we're also going to want to print game mode sort of thing. Alright, so gameplay utils. Yeah, let's see. And I think this is an option set, so print game option. Try it. You tried both instances with no luck. You'll try again. That drive made me a little mad. Oh, you tried with two different instances to try to get them to talk to each other? I mean, I can just go boot up something on AWS and see if there's anything Like, are you using a specific Windows image, or are you just using the stock Windows Server 2000 whatever? Because I mean, it cost me like nothing to go boot something up for a second and see what it does. You're just using Windows Server 2016. Just the stock one. Is it the Microsoft Windows 2016 Data Center Edition? Or is it Microsoft Windows Server 2012 R2? 2016 and R2 2012. Alright, I'll boot up the 2012 R2 base. And all that. Let's throw it on a large because Windows is a pile of crap. Security group, let's give it the same thing as our test website. I'll just create a new one, which will be all access. Case Sexton. All access to my host. Let's just do all traffic from my IP address. I think I'll be able to access that. Maybe it's your router. So you actually do have a router between these dudes. Thank you for subscribing, Chris Goku too. Yeah. You can get. I'm actually going to be streaming a lot more. Yeah, you can use the ambient upset emote now, so you can express your utter disgust for whatever it is in your life you're disgusted with. Not a router, but a modem. Well, modems and routers kind of do the same crap where, like, NAT punch through and all that sort of stuff just doesn't happen. So I mean, you could try setting up port forwarding if you have access to your modem or whatever, and make sure that it's forwarding whatever inbound TCP connections to your box. So, like, people have had to do that so they can host their own dedicated servers by forwarding UDP traffic to their machines. Alright, well, it's going to take a little bit for that Windows box to come up, because it always takes forever for Windows boxes to come up. And I have absolutely no idea where the hell the SSH key is. Anyway, we'll let that start up and I'll see what I can do when we get there. Because that stuff takes forever. Windows has to restart like 4 or 5 times on Amazon. Alright, so let's print our game modes. What else are we going to want? Apply option sets to config, fill game mode from option sets. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to call an actual like getter function for static void get next game modes. Yeah, and we're going to pass in a t-array of game modes. I guess it's an F game mode configuration. T-array modes. So that'll get you a list of game modes. And this is actually going to have some meat to it. It's going to have to fetch those things, roll randoms, and solve things. I have absolutely no idea. I need the Windows SSH key. Where did I even stick that thing? Let's see, is it in security? Gotta wait for that Linux share drive. Security AWS. No. There it is. Wrong user Windows. Okay, so I've got that password. Excellent. I'll have to save that somewhere here where I'm not going to accidentally throw that on screen. Alright, so this is vanilla Windows server in here. So this is just bare bones. Nothing new, so let's boot up IE and do the first thing that you always do when you get Windows. So you call it get Chrome. Maybe I've already got a Chrome installer somewhere. I can just throw it out there on the machine. Alright, you have to go through, and Internet Explorer is kind of a gigantic pain in the dick for doing stuff sometimes. Especially on servers. It's all locked down, so... Did it not get it? Just keep adding stuff. There we go. Yeah, well, it's not IE in this case. It's server IE. Like, by default, Windows Server is locked down to all hell, and that is for a very good reason. You don't want your server stuff to be um, easy for everything to work with. You want it just tight as a drum. So let's grab Java so I can run some of my stuff here. So we need the Windows x64 JDK. Alright, so we got Java installed so I can run tools and shit like that. Get out of here. Alright, so you're trying to make a TCP connection to a client. So what I want to do is I want to host something on my box here that I can connect to. Well, I think I already have the forwarding set up, so if I just run my local server, I should be able to connect to myself. Yeah, so that's me connecting to myself back home over TCP and HTTP there. So that's the thing. So right out of the box, boom, I can connect to myself. So I'm guessing it's going to be something else. And that's port forwarding stuff. So there's going to be something there with port forwarding, I'm guessing, with your router. Because what I've got right now, Yeah, so this is what I've got for my my port forwarding setup on this guy, on my router. So I got 7,000 to 8,000 going straight to my machine. So otherwise, what's going to happen is your router is going to disable it. And this is for a Comcast business router. So that's what I got rolling around here. So I don't know what else to tell you. If you want something else for me to look at here, I'll keep this box here for a little bit. But otherwise, it's gonna be, you're not insane, and it's not Windows, and it's not EC2 blowing you up. It's gonna be something with your communication, I believe. You spent a month on that workaround? What? Oh shit. Oh wait, dude. Well, you haven't port forwarded since PlayStation 2 era. Yeah. Port forwarding is a real pain in the ass to set up too. Like, just ask Karakan here in chat about the fun times setting up dedicated servers and how amazingly entertaining it can be. It's like, yeah, why can't I connect? I don't know. Well, what is it? Well, like Lucas, where going over like the IP config is like, well, which IP is it? Is it? Well, the wireless is this one, and the LAN is this one, and you got to go disable your Ethernet device for your wireless in order to make it force it over, you know, the wired connection. It's a mess. So I'll just minimize that guy there, and if you want me to test anything else, let me know. Otherwise, I'll delete that probably in another 30 minutes. Alright, so call this to get the next list of game modes. Call this to print the game modes, to print a game mode. Call this to print a game option. We're gonna see if that's it. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, if you want me to run something on this server for you, you can send me that. You can send me whatever. I mean, it's just a VM or whatever the hell out there, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, if you want me to run like some TCP host on here or something and open it up for your IP or whatever, you can do that too. I know how much of a pain in the ass it can be to debug network stuff if you don't have somebody else helping you out sometimes. You'll upload it from Git with some cool code, yeah. Python indentation. Yeah, just getting used to working and stuff can be a pain in the ass. Alright, so we want to print a game mode. So what does the game mode have on it? Let's make sure we have that open. Gameplay utils, game mode data. This is game mode data, which is going to be inside of our shared objects. Alright, game mode configuration is going to have a name and then a list of option sets, and it's also going to have variables. Okay, so for printing our game mode, maybe I should have an F string here. So game mode, I should just call it stir. So it'll be stir.append. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do info logs. Nobody cares. Alright, so then we want to go through every option set. Which, so for option set config dot option sets. Just make sure it's a reference. It's const. Log option set. Don't want to forget the stars here. So that'll be the name. And then we want to go through every option set variable. So for game mode option. Alright, so this will be game mode option has a type and a value. Alright, so value and type. Where are the enums for this? This is op.type. Okay, so that'll be op.value. So it'll tell us what the options are for this thing. Game mode option set. Game mode option. I guess we don't need this. It should be the game mode option set. And this is what we should be doing here. Yeah, well, Chris Goku, when you're coming up with those big workarounds there, I mean, that's actually probably not an awful thing to have, because nobody, like, if you don't have port forwarding set up, nobody else is going to have port forwarding set up. So if you got some workaround that actually works, that'll make your game a lot more accessible if people need to have the server connect to them. I mean, that's why I run dedicated servers for all of our games, is because port forwarding setup is just impossible. It's one of those things where it's like, Adam, everybody's going to have to set this up. And he's just like, we can't do that. I was like, yeah, we can't do that. That means we need dedicated servers. It's like, shit, that costs money. It's like, yep, it costs money. Okay, so that'll print game mode out. So we need get game modes. Okay, so get game modes is going to we're going to need to get stuff. We're going to need to, so we've got our game mode configurations. Alright, so modes.reset. And what we're going to have to do is so we need two default modes. Alright, so default picks. So we need two default modes at all times and always in rotations there. So we'll have default picks. It's going to be Dashkin game mode data get default mode count. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is get all game modes, get required game modes. Yeah, okay. Except for playing and getting mad at indentations. Well, usually what you do if you're working in Python is it's like I'm working in Notepad++ where I've got show tabs and spaces on, so I always see where all the indentation stuff is. Like, I can't work in Python without some editor that shows me all that stuff, so it just becomes part of what your eye looks at least for me it does. Okay, so we'll get our required modes, and what is a required mode for this? Okay, so we just get required modes, and it's gonna put it in there. Alright, so what we're gonna do is default pix minus equals modes dot so we'll grab our required game modes, and then those are our default picks. So after that, we're going to get all game modes, I believe. Alright, so we'll get all the game modes. Yeah, okay. And what we want to do is, while true with this thing, we want to add stuff. Hello, Cytocron. I am working on some of the game mode stuff at the moment. So what we want to do is, I think I need a tset. Okay, so default pix minus equal okay. I'm trying to think of how I want to do this, so alright, so we'll add those to our set, and I guess I can get all game mode, or I could get random. So we'll get a random game mode out of the non-required game modes. Now we'll just get it out of the main list. And we're only really getting another one, so Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is just have like a sanity counter. It'll just roll a few times, and if there are collisions, we're just gonna who gives a who cares? Dashkin game data utils. Alright, so while the num is less than that, we'll get it. So that'll give us all of our game modes. We'll have our default picks set up there. So now what we need to do is we need to create our random picks. So we're going to get that by grabbing all of our option sets and randomly picking stuff. So we'll do while pose.num is less than our options for next match. Yeah, okay, so needed options, Dashkin game mode data get get options for next match. Yeah, I think that's what we want. So while our number is less than needed options, we need to create a new game mode from our random options. So what we want to do is we want to get option set by name, get all option sets. Yeah, okay, so let's grab all the option sets. And we're going to need to create stuff. So we need a T set of F string. I forgot to add all this stuff. Alright, so we need a new thing. It's going to be collision set. So we have our game mode options, and our game mode options have stuff like things that collide with each other, like slow ball and fastball. You can't have both of those options at the same time. So what we're going to do is SA counter equals 0. We're going to get a random number of options. So N32 options to grab is going to be and let's get one random option, and the maximum is going to be random option set limit 32 random opt max. It's going to be Dashkin game data get random option set limits. Alright, so we need a list of game options. So we're going to make a new configuration. So we're going to make a new configuration. Wonder if we should have like random names for things. We'll just call it configuration. I'll just call it random 1 or something like that, right? so that'll be our conf, and what we want to do is while new conf dot, what are they? Options num is less than options to grab. Counter plus plus if counter is greater than 20, break. Just it's bad practice to have stuff like this where you have kind of where you're randomly getting stuff out of something and it's just an array. Yeah. I could make this better, but I don't think I will. I think I'll be okay with just having some random stupidity. That's fine. So sometimes it'll randomly just not get what it needs to. Okay, these are option sets. Okay, so what we need to do is we have all options, get all options. And what we want to do is grab a thing. I'm just still trying to get myself back into work mode after doing planning stuff. Kind of just Alright, so what we want to do is grab a random option here, so that'll be conf, yeah, we'll just copy it. Alright, so we want a reference, so we're just going to say get on option set reference ops equals all options sub opt index. So if collision set dot contains, yeah, so for f string ref collision ops dot set collisions. Weren't you having a day or two off after the update? I just work when I feel like working. I don't know. I haven't talked to Adam since the update stuff was kind of going on, so I'm not really sure what his schedule is looking like right now. So you're gonna upload your Python version to Git. I think it'll be good to advance on. I don't know, most of the time people, I don't know, whenever I'm working on stuff, I kind of just get used to it. Yeah, it's kind of, one of the reasons why I use Java for all the tools is because it's kind of just I write it, and yes, it's Java, and it takes maybe more time to write all that crap, but it's just kind of this big junk drawer of stuff, and I can run it on anything because it's Java. And I don't have to worry about Python updates or Python versions or whatever the hell. It's just, here's some quick code using all this library stuff that I've written over forever. And, if I need a web server or some other shit, I can just, write it in a couple lines. And it's just like, well, is Java installed? Awesome, run this. And it just works. Not that I'm advocating you learn Java and use that, but that's what I do, and that's the reason why I do it. Alright, so collision set contains collision. I need to get back in here. Okay, so if there is a collision, that I'm going to say if ops, yes, we need to check the name of this. Alright, so we'll just be stupid simple there. So now what we need to do is we want to add this thing, so it's going to be modes dot, it's going to be new conf dot option sets dot add our ops. Alright, so that should add our configuration after randomly generating the game mode. So we're going to go through every game mode. I think we're going to call mode. We need to call this guy. Alright, so let's go to our game utils and let's add a debug call, debug get game modes for level. No, Locust, what's going on? Sliding down the gold tree stub going into the ground repeatedly and is stuck? Oh, is she actually stuck, or he or she, whatever Kira is, or is it just a visual? Is it just a visual thing? Ah, Jesus, I reset to defaults with my controls now. I don't know what the fuck the controls are. Alright, punch is, alright, jump is A, punch is F. Kick is. Celebrate is E. Hashtag what? What, Kira is literally stuck in the log there? Wow, okay. Did you just punch her into the wall or some shit? Or she slid down like a slope into it? You crawled through the crack and dashed left? I don't know. I don't know how you did it. How'd you do it? Yeah, what crack? What are you talking? Is it? You mean like between the? There's like a between the stump and the tree or something? You crawled through the crack and dashed left. All right. Here, I'll show you. All right. Yeah, I'm watching. All right. So jumped up there, slid down, and is trying to crawl down into it. Is she actually stuck in there? And how'd you do that, Lucas? You just did the. You just kept trying to get stuck in here. There's like a little crack in there. The crack on the left side? Like, I'm not getting it, Lucas. Like, as if you're. Like, I still don't get, like, what do you mean by, like, as. Like. Oh, okay. So you can get stuck inside of the log, basically, is what's going on. No, I'm stuck. I basically you slide down the wall, and you can get stuck in it. All right. So it's gonna be something with the slide down rigging, I believe. Anyway, I'll get it written down. Oh, good call. Let me see if I can reproduce it now that I know kind of how to do it. You deserve credit for being stupid. Everybody deserves credit. Next map will load in 0 matches. No, we can't try it again. That is pretty cool though, that I can just jump into a game and everybody's just jumping around a fucking stump. It reminds me of like old school Halo 1, where you jump in there and somebody'd be chucking grenades under the Warthog, and people would just cluster around and be like, yeah, man, throw more grenades under that. Can we do the same thing here? Can we like slide down the log?